Okay, I am seeing the video live on our KOAM News Now YouTube live stream. We are on, even though a lot of us are not seeing any threatening weather. There is a cluster of storms trying to hold together in our far western counties. That is why we're hopping on with a quick little YouTube stream, or maybe not too quick, but since we're not seeing widespread severe weather, we're not going to take up too much of your time this evening. But if you're at all curious about what's going on, you came to the right place, since we're going to be keeping an eye on things for at least a few more hours. So with that said, we're going to allow everybody to continue to pop on here. Hopefully everybody had a good Saturday, and hopefully you managed to beat the heat and humidity that came in certainly in full fanfare, for lack of a better expression, throughout the course of the day. And not to mention, or in addition rather, to seeing what's going on in terms of the radar and any storm chances out there. We'll dive into the forecast again. If you missed it during our 6 o'clock news on KOAM, and if you missed our late Fox 14 news at 9 on Channel 14, and if you missed our newscast at 10 o'clock on KOAM, we'll go over everything here as we continue to roll along. But let's see where we stand at the top, almost the top, or actually at the top rather, of the 11 o'clock hour late on this Saturday night. I'm refreshing my workspace over here just so we are good to go with how I want to show everything to everybody. And you saw right as we started, some of us in the orange, especially on the Kansas side, that is still a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until we hit 1 a.m. But as soon as the workspace here finally refreshes and gets back to loading, we will dive right into the radar and see what on earth is going on, and we will dive into the forecast again to see how we wrap up the weekend for tomorrow, how we look for Monday, and why we're going to be stuck with the heat and humidity throughout the coming week. And if you've been following along at all with the blogs, my forecast, along with Doug's forecast as well over the past day, so it'll be pretty evident to see what the culprit will be in terms of the returning heat and humidity. Okay, I got my workspace back up and running once again. We're going to hit play on things, and we will get into what's going on. Right as we come back onto the screen here, there is your severe thunderstorm watch in the orange until 1 a.m. There is a little bit of a watch still clipping parts of Anderson, Lynn, and Bates County for areas north of US 54, but for much of southeast Kansas, we've got Greenwood, Elk, Chautauqua, Allen, Woodson, Wilson, Neosho, Labette, and Montgomery counties until 1 a.m. That is because of this amazing cluster of thunderstorms that fired up late this afternoon and early this evening, and we'll rerun the loop to show you here right along the, is it letting me do it? There it is. That in that circle, that is where we had the strongest severe thunderstorms really fire up, and they were quite potent as they were making their way south through Marysville, close to Manhattan, and then working near the Turnpike close to Emporia, Cottonwood Falls, and it's trying to hold together in some form or another as it continues its dive toward the south across our far western counties. So let's see where things stand right now. I will tell you right now, it looks like there's a lot of radar echoes suggesting light rain east of this cluster of thunderstorms. But if you are talking about this cluster of reflectivity, this is mainly moisture being picked up way up in the sky, way up in the clouds. That's not coming down as rain. What is coming down as rain, and certainly tremendous thunderstorms as well, is this cluster working across southern parts of Elk County, southwestern parts of Wilson County, a good portion of Chautauqua County now, and make that western parts of Montgomery County. In fact, right as we zoomed right in, we picked up on a new severe thunderstorm warning polygon. That is in effect until midnight. That is for areas across the rest of Chautauqua and Montgomery counties right up to the Oklahoma state line. So let's do a quick query and see what this warning is all about. Hopefully it's a weakening trend, because I'm seeing this warning for the first time as you all are. And this is certainly a good trend to see. This cluster of storms still trying to suggest 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and maybe nickel-size hail. But when this storm was coming through Greenwood County, western parts of Wilson County, and much of Elk County, this thunderstorm is capable of producing 70, almost 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts and up to quarter-size hail. But it is nice to see a downward weakening trend despite all these radar echoes suggesting maybe some higher reflectivity cores aloft trying to suggest some larger hail. But we can double check on things to make sure we're not seeing any hail sizes that are outrageous. And yeah, you can see straight away these are not pegging extremely high hail sizes. We're talking about maybe a couple of penny-sized hailstones southwest of Fredonia and northwestern parts of Montgomery County, maybe trying to push quarters, but with quite a bit of warm temperatures in place, not just aloft but near the surface, any hailstones that are going to try to come on down, they're either going to melt completely in the rain, or if they can sustain some size, maybe up to the size of nickels. That's about 0.88 inches in diameter, generally less than an inch in diameter. We're talking about less than quarters. That is not severe criteria, but with this cluster of storms, certainly wind gusts capable of 60 miles per hour cannot be ruled out. So let me reorient the map here, and let me add the radar coming out of Tulsa. In fact, I want to change the radar up a little bit here, since Kansas City, that radar is overshooting the storm now. And you can see it is looking less impressive now. In fact, I could toggle on the lightning and make sure we are caught up to date on that. The lightning output with this storm throughout its journey across Kansas was tremendous, with at times over 1,000, if not over 1,300 lightning strikes just within a 10-minute period. You're talking about 130 strokes of lightning, cloud to cloud and cloud to ground, per minute. That is quite a potent storm, rather I should say was, considering we are now talking about any current lightning count sitting at 49. So a noticeable downward trend in the lightning, certainly an indication that this storm is on the weakening trend, and we will certainly take it, because this storm proved nasty as it was working across not only north central, northeastern parts of Kansas, but trying to push some wind gusts near 70 in parts of Greenwood County. Let me double check the speed of this storm with the severe thunderstorm warning. Moving south now at 35 miles per hour. So with that being the case, I'm going to get a storm track for you all, given that speed at 35 miles per hour. And I'll tell you what, we do have some viewers out there in Montgomery County that will appreciate the SkyWatch storm alert scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And not to mention, I hopped off the air not too long ago because of a quick cut-in to make sure everyone is caught up with those warnings. We are talking about Independence, the strongest of the winds, again trying to push near 16, certainly some moderate to heavy rainfall and maybe some small hail. Coming in at about 11:12, Caney by 11:25, Coffeyville by 11:38. Then, once we work beyond that, we hop over the state line into Washington County and Nowata County. We'll see if if Tulsa might consider a severe thunderstorm warning for at least parts of Washington or Nowata counties if the storm can hold together in some form, but it is weakening quite a bit. Nonetheless, Bartlesville by 11:53, Pawhuska by 12:07, Nowata by 12:12, and Ramona in southern parts of Washington County, just stopping short of northern Tulsa County and north of Turley by about 12:19. But I will tell you what, this storm, when it was more potent, certainly as we came out from the north, this cluster of storms was nasty. Not only reports of numerous funnel clouds, but you can see up to the north, we've had some tornado touchdowns near the Nebraska-Kansas line. We had a rain route tornado near Highway 77. That was coming close to Marysville, Kansas, and that's a fairly sizable community in that part of northern, north central, and northeastern parts of Kansas along US 36. That's the main west to east road that could take you from let's say Belleville in north central Kansas through Washington and Washington County, and then back towards Seneca, Kansas. And yes, that is correct. There's the Seneca, Kansas in the northern part of the state. And then 36 again continues eastward toward Hiawatha and Sabetha as you come close near the intersection of US 36 and US 75. But as the storms continued on, it also doesn't help that we got an annoying little fly flying around here too. This storm, as it was working through areas south of Marysville, we've had many reports of some power lines, power poles being snatched, tree limbs coming down, trees themselves coming down. We had another report of at least a funnel cloud that was around Oldsburg in Potawatomi County at a 706. I want to say that's the intersection of Kansas Highway 16, and I want to say that's 77. It's been a while since I've been in that part of the state of Kansas. No, that's actually the intersection of Kansas 16 and Kansas 13 in that part of Potawatomi County. Thankfully, no confirmed tornadoes, at least from the storm reports around Manhattan as you work into Riley County, but we're talking about these wind reports indicating wind gusts near 80 miles per hour at times. Some damage as well, at least the only damage I could find around Manhattan. Let's say some tree limbs down and broken power poles. Hopefully there was no damage around the Kansas State campus around that way. And then as we continue on down toward the south, we did pick up some more wind gust reports. Let's say around Matfield we had a wind gust in that part of Chase County pushed 65 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour with that one. South of Cottonwood Falls. But as the storms worked into parts of Greenwood County, especially around Madison to the west, that was a wind gust reported at 75 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour around Thrall, even close up to 70 miles per hour before the 10 o'clock hour. And from a personal weather station on the northern sides of Eureka, you saw that observed wind gust near 66 miles per hour. And in downtown proper, we've got actually power out across much of the town of Eureka, and not to mention large tree limbs down in that central part of Greenwood County. I will say the storm reports really do drop off as the storm continues on south, and the only other report I see as of recently was a major tree damage in the small town of Severy in the southern parts of Greenwood County. You are talking about, I believe that's US 400, near US 400 in the intersection of Kansas 99. So that is the main storm that we're watching. We'll see what the other storms around the Kansas City are doing in a moment, but in the very short term, we're just focused on the short-lived potential for some strong, possibly severe storms. I think that'll last us until 1 or 2 a.m. at the very latest. And in fact, with the way that storm's going, hopefully we can wind down this potential severe threat sooner rather than later. But this is what everybody has to deal with as we wrap up the weekend tomorrow. We're going to be dropping back into the lower, if not mid-70s across much of the region tonight. Plenty of heat, plenty of humidity locked in for tomorrow as well. That means everybody has to deal with heat advisories until 8 o'clock going into Sunday evening. And in this darker shade here, those are excessive heat watches at the very least for Nowata, Washington counties, and around the Tulsa metro, because they've got an urban heat island effect as well, where the sun during the day tomorrow will collect so much sunshine, so much heat, not to mention high humidities. We're talking about extremely hot temperatures down there and extreme high levels of humidity as well. We're talking about dew points well into the 70s lined up there for tomorrow. Around Joplin, again, we're looking quiet, a lot of cloud cover from all the storms that are skirting around the area, but it's keeping us warm and muggy. It's 81 in Joplin at 11:14. It feels like 87 with that dew point at 76. Hopefully we can allow that dew point to drop off a few degrees so that we can get everybody back, maybe some lower 70s, but certainly mid-70s as we go into your Sunday morning. Everybody's sitting mainly between 80 and 82 degrees. It is just downright warm and muggy out there. Even if you're getting underneath that cluster of thunderstorms, it's not really scrubbing out the heat and humidity that much. Everybody's sitting mainly in the upper 70s to lower 80s, and with all the humidity, it still feels like in many locations, mid-80s to almost 90 degrees late on this Saturday night. These are numbers that we usually hold off on seeing until we either get into late June or certainly going into July. So we're certainly getting another early start on the summer heat and humidity. That being said, let's take a look at what's coming down the road. Again, that that cluster of storms looks to be weakening quite a bit. We'll continue to keep an eye on that. I am watching some additional thunderstorms trying to make a run toward the Kansas City area, but if the storms that try to work across north central Missouri are any indication, as these storms try to continue on south, they'll either fall apart or skirt us toward the north and east. So not too concerned about anything else in terms of thunderstorms trying to sneak in during the overnight, but all these decaying storms left behind quite a bit of cloud cover. That is going to limit how much of a drop temperatures can see as we go throughout the course of the night. At the surface, those storms that fired off to the north fired off because, can I tell us right here? Yes, I can. Because of this weak surface trough that extended from northwestern Iowa through southeastern Nebraska and extreme northern Kansas, not to mention some of the storms in northern Missouri riding along a weakening warm front. At the surface, we got this next warm front that will just only aid in keeping the heat and humidity in place, not just for tomorrow, but at the very least through early next week. This is the upper level setup I want to show everybody. The storms that came on in was because of this upper level disturbance that's going to quickly shoot off toward the south and east as we go throughout the rest of the night. That will not bother us for tomorrow. But this big blue H upstairs, that is the main driver for the returning heat and humidity. It's going to be meandering from the southern plains through the deep south, maybe parts of the southeast throughout the course of the coming week. But as long as that is in control, the position might vary, but the strength of this ridge is certainly going to be enough to keep the heat and humidity in place throughout the next several days. As far as the severe threat goes, again, this low severe risk, I think it will start to drop off within the next hour or so, but at the very least, let's keep it. I'm going to keep an eye at least on a couple of potential storms that might try to come close to us from Kansas City. If not, that'll slide mainly toward the northeast of the region, if not completely fall apart as they work across the Kansas City area. But for the next few hours at the very least, I want to keep an eye on any strong storms capable of some high wind gusts, some relatively large hail, maybe quarter size, and a little bit of heavy rainfall. But with the latest indications from all the guidance that I've seen and from my forecasting, these storms are ultimately going to fall apart as they continue on their journey toward the south. So this is not going to be a problem as we get towards sunrise and as you start heading out to church or whatever you have planned for your Sunday morning. But I think temperatures here might be a tad optimistic, quite frankly. I don't think a lot of us drop back to about 71, but 73, 74, 75 with plenty of cloud cover to start the day out, I think that's unfortunately more reasonable in terms of low temperatures to start your Sunday morning out. The Future Track, though, does have the right idea of keeping skies dry throughout the day tomorrow. Partly to mostly sunny, but that south wind at 5 to 15 with gusts near 20, you can bet that it will keep us hot and it will certainly keep the humidity in place for your Sunday. 74 by the morning, 89 around Joplin by noon, and pushing highs to 95 degrees with partly to mostly sunny skies and that south wind at 5 to 15. Gusts near 20 can't be ruled out as well. I'm keeping us quiet for your Sunday night going into Monday morning, but this is a setup that will only let us drop back into the upper 70s. So we're talking about a warm and muggy start to your Monday. At the very least, temperatures don't look too eager to warm up as much as we will for tomorrow, but Monday afternoon doesn't change the fact that I haven't seen any changes from my forecast, so I want to keep highs around 94, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't want to, but looks like we have to keep highs at least in the mid-90s as we get the new work week underway. Now let's talk about heat indices. The humidity is definitely going to stick around for the next 2 days at the very least, so once we get past a mild and muggy start in the morning, all the humidity, not just from all the rain that we picked up over the past, you can even argue past week or couple of weeks, from all the saturated ground that's still trying to evaporate, that upper level ridge is trying to build in some extra humidity too. So dew points easily into the 70s, if not mid 70s. Couple that with temperatures in the mid 90s, that's going to make it feel like maybe 102, 103 at the coolest to about 110 degrees at the hottest. That's what it's going to feel like against your skin. So definitely need to take it easy if you'll be out and about. If you can, be near a good source of air conditioning, at the very least some good areas of shade. Not to mention, you don't need to hear me say this, but definitely want to stay hydrated with plenty of water if you can. And if you have to work outside during the day tomorrow, just take frequent breaks so you don't exert yourself. Given how we only drop back into the upper 70s for Monday morning and all the humidity is still in place, it's going to feel like the upper 70s to lower 80s for a downright muggy start for your Monday morning. Then we're back in the lower to middle 90s for Monday, maybe a little bit of a drop in the humidity, but it's still going to feel like 100 to 105 degrees during the peak heating of the afternoon on your Monday. As far as your 7-day forecast is concerned, we're going to keep at it with lower and maybe some mid-90s throughout the rest of the coming week. And we'll be lucky if we can get at least a bit of a break during the overnight hours. Not to mention Monday morning's low is 78. We'll be in the mid to upper 70s for your Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. Hopefully a little bit more of relief during the overnight hours as we head toward Wednesday night, Thursday night, and into parts of the coming weekend. But aside from maybe a stray storm or two Thursday and on Friday, we are definitely going to be sticking with the heat and humidity as the main weather headlines. Before we hop off here, because I still need to take care of the blog and make sure that we're not missing anything else as far as warnings go, we'll take another quick look at the radar and see if we're not missing up on anything. If you've managed to just join us as well, in the orange, that's still a severe thunderstorm watch until 1 a.m. for a good portion of southeast Kansas. The watch that you see clipping parts of Anderson, Bates, and Lynn County in our northern parts of the viewing area, that's going to expire by about midnight. And that's trying to hold on for a little bit because there is this cluster of thunderstorms trying to come into parts of the Kansas City metro from about Excelsior Springs down to the south. And it is a bit potent. It's trying to push wind gusts near 70 miles per hour as it comes close to Independence, Missouri, Liberty, the Kansas City metro area, Gladstone, Kearney, Platte City, North Kansas City, and other parts of the Kansas City metro on the north and northeast side. But in terms of our area, our only concern for the time being is this cluster of thunderstorms that is working across southeastern parts of Chautauqua County and working through much of Montgomery County on the Kansas side. That's a warning that will continue until midnight as we go into your Sunday morning. We'll double check things to make sure that we are still looking good as far as this storm, at least behaving in terms of strength. I want to find my storm query tool to see what this storm is still doing. And it is continuing that downward trend. Again, 60 mile per hour wind gusts on the leading edge that's about to cross over the Kansas-Oklahoma line, and maybe some penny to nickel size hail. That's hail sizes generally 3/4 of an inch to almost 9/10 of an inch. That's not severe criteria, but what is triggering that severe thunderstorm warning is the potential wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. And still moving to the south at 35 miles per hour. Whoop, didn't mean to do that. Let me readjust the map once again and give an updated storm track here in case we have anybody joining us from northeastern Oklahoma. It looks as though with this polygon, I think the forward speed was still 35, moving toward the south, and you can even argue south-southeast based on how the polygon is oriented across parts of Chautauqua and Montgomery County. So generally going south, if not a little bit toward the east, if only just. Over the next hour and 40 minutes, this will be working in the Coffeyville by about 11:32, at least the leading edge, with the 60 mile per hour wind gust potential and some moderate to heavy rainfall. Bartlesville by about 11:59 after it passes near Copen by 11:40. Nevada by 12:08. Chelsea by 12:35, Collinsville at 12:46, and potentially near Owasso by 12:59. And certainly enough, Tulsa thinks that this storm could try to hold on a little longer as it crosses the state line. That's why the Weather Service in Tulsa has now a severe thunderstorm warning out for a good deal of Washington and I think all of Nowata County until 12:15. We'll double check the warning, make sure that we're not seeing a spike in the intensity of these storms. It's a bare minimum severe thunderstorm warning. 60 mile per hour wind gusts, and with the core trying to pop up, what's a good town or a cross reference here? Let's say near Havana in southwestern parts of Montgomery County, not too far from the intersection of US 75 and US 166. At least some of the high reflectivity values aloft might be trying to suggest maybe a couple hailstones trying to push near quarter size, but again, this storm is looking less impressive, certainly compared to how it formed across the Kansas-Nebraska line and tracking due south throughout the course of the evening. So with that said, once this works in the southern parts of the Washington and the Nevada counties, we are overall going to be done tracking that little cluster of thunderstorms. And then as we go into the overnight, if I could find my lightning indicator here and I can pan back up to the north, this is what I'm going to continue to keep an eye on, at least for the next couple of hours. So all the indications that I've seen is that anything remaining out in northern parts of Missouri, including this cluster of storms, will be generally on the weakening trend as they try to near the I-70 corridor. With that said, there's actually a quick little tornado warning around Smithville, Missouri on, I wonder what highway that is. Is that US 169? Yes, it is. That's a tiny severe tornado warning polygon, though, for parts of the Kansas City metro, but we're talking about Clay and Platte counties. Once you work out of the, I want to say that's the, nope, that's not I-29, that's the 435 loop in the northern parts of the Kansas City metro. And I'm not surprised. Doug's more familiar with that part of Kansas City than I am. It's been a while since I've traveled to that part of the metro, but that is all I'm seeing as far as we are, goodness, I'm a little bit scatterbrained here. I apologize for that, but we're going to continue to keep an eye on these few clusters of storms for the next few hours. But the storms working into northeast Oklahoma, that's going to be working out of our immediate area within the next hour or so. And I'll still keep an eye on that cluster of storms around Kansas City. If we need to hop back on, we'll do so in a little bit. In the meantime, I need to get back to work behind the scenes here because I need to make sure the blog gets updated, because again, if you haven't checked on the forecast, I'll definitely have the blog up with a little more in-depth discussion about how the week ahead is shaping up.